Hello everyone, Tina here for Pinkfresh Studio. I hope your day's going fantastic. I'm so glad you're joining us today. Well, today we are going to do some watercoloring. The watercoloring that we're going to be doing is super duper simple. You'll be surprised. We're going to basically let the watercolor do the work for us. Today we're going to be using the Be Fearless stamp set along with the coordinating die. Pinkfresh Studio has some new premium liquid watercolors in their shop. I'm going to be using the classics today. I love the case that they come in. The drawers pull out really easily. And so we're going to be using the classic set today. I'm also going to be using a premium watercolor paper from Pinkfresh Studio. These are 140-pound cold press sheets, and I'm just going to trim mine down to an A2 panel to make it a little bit more manageable. Now when I watercolor today, we're going to start by doing our stamping, and then we're going to heat emboss. Whenever you heat emboss an image and watercolor, basically the watercolor is trapped inside the area that's embossed, and that's my favorite way to do it. We're going to bring in the stamping positioner, and I'm going to take my floral image here. I'm just going to place it on my watercolor cardstock, and then I'm treating my watercolor cardstock with an anti-static powder tool. We're going to be heat embossing, and this is important. We don't want any flyaway embossing powder. I'm going over my images with my Pinkfresh Studio Detail Black ink. This is a hybrid ink, and it's great for embossing. So it stays sticky a little bit longer. So I'll just ink up my images. Okay. I think that's going to work out fabulous. Now I'm going to go over my images with my clear embossing powder. I'm going to use my heat gun, and we'll melt this. Everything is nice and melted. Now I have this glass board that we're going to use to watercolor on. I'm going to take my watercolor cardstock, and I'm actually going to tape it down to my surface here. This is just a glass tile that I picked up at the hardware store. And we're going to really saturate our cardstock. So I'm going to go ahead and tape this down. The inks that we're going to be using are Aquamarine, Seaside, Clementine, and Sunshine. Okay. And then I have just a little palette to hold my watercolors in. Okay, I'm going to color in one. Show you how I do it. It's very easy. First I'm going to take my water brush. Okay. And then we're going to start with the leaves. Let me zoom in. I'm going to start with we're going to add water to all of the leaves here. Okay, so all 5 of my leaves here have water on them. I'm going to be using my Aquamarine ink. I'm going to add some to my little dish. Next I have a paintbrush. I'm going to pick up some of my Aquamarine, and I'm just going to tap the base of the leaf. And you can just see how this spreads on its own. It's a very easy way to watercolor here. And since we heat embossed, it just contains. Okay, that's all there is to it. I'm not going to move it. I'm just going to let that dry a little bit. Okay, and then in the meantime, now I cleaned off my brush. I'm going to bring back my water brush. And now I'm going to go over my flower. Anywhere you don't have water, your watercolor is not going to go. So make sure you get all of your flower petals. Okay, and then for my flower, I'm going to use Sunshine, so I'm going to put some Sunshine ink in here. And then make sure your paintbrush is clean. I'm going to pick up my ink, and again, I'm just going to tap it to add some color here. We're going to add some more color with Clementine, but I want the base to be yellow. Now we're going to add Seaside. So I'm going to add it to my little dish here. You don't need too much because I love how bright and bold these are. Now I want to add blue to my leaves. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up some of my Seaside, and I'm going to tap again at the base, mixing these two colors. And I missed an area here with water, so I'm just going to fill that in. Okay? So basically you're going back and forth, giving your watercolor a chance to saturate in the paper. Now I'm going to bring in my Clementine. I'm going to add some to our little dish. And then full strength, I'm going to use my paintbrush. Again, make sure it's clean. And now I'm going to add some orange. And I'm just tapping on the edge of the petals. And you can see how the watercolor just automatically spreads. And if you want to help it along, you can. For this flower, I'm going to help it along because I want it to be more orange than I want it to be yellow. So I'm just going to help it along here. Okay, and then I want some concentrated areas, so I'll just pick up some of this ink and just add another little tap here. And that's all there is to that. I'm just going to let that dry. Now I'm going to continue on. I'm going to play a little bit of music while I finish coloring. And I will be right back when I'm all done. Okay, and that's all there is to it. What I'm going to do next is use my heat gun. Normally you'd want to let this air dry, but I'm going to use my heat gun and kind of help it along the way. I love how vibrant these are. I think they're so pretty. Okay, I'm going to put this to the side, and now I'm bringing back my stamping positioner. We're going to stamp our greeting. In our stamp set, there's a greeting that says "Be Fearless." And for this, we're going to use detail black ink. Wonderful. Okay, now we're going to do some die cutting. We're going to take the coordinating dies from my Be Fearless blooms, and I will cut these out. I will also cut out my greeting. And then on the same cardstock, I'm going to be using my inverted stitch scallop dies, and I'm going to create a circle with this, and I'm also going to take the outline and die cut it out with vellum. And then also, while I'm die cutting, I'm going to bring in my Curvy Foliage die. I'm going to cut this out 2 times with white cardstock. And I have a bit of die cutting to do. I'm going to run everything through my die cut machine, and I will be right back. Now that I have everything die cut, I do want to mention that I die cut out my Be Fearless with foam too. I popped it up with some foam. Okay, what we're going to do is take our inverted scallop. I'm going to flip it around, and using my tape runner, I'm going to go ahead and adhere this to a piece of my vellum. Okay, we're just going to overlap these two, kind of following along the curve. I'm going to add glue behind my Be Fearless. And we're going to go ahead and add our greeting here. Okay, now we're going to work on our background. We're going to put this over here with our foliage. And I'm going to do a little bit of ink blending on a piece of some teal cardstock that I have from my stash. This is an A2 panel. I'm going to bring in 2 of my Pinkfresh inks. I have Mermaid, and I also have Seaside. First, what we're going to do is take Mermaid, and I'm just going to use my blending brush, and I'm going to go around the edges of this panel. And then using Seaside ink, I'm going to go ahead and add some darker blue along the edges. Okay. Now after we have this done, I'm going to bring in my foliage, and I'm going to add some glue behind here. Okay, I'm going to take my foliage, and then I'm going to place this along the bottom. I'm just going to tack it right down here. And then I'm going to flip this over, and I'm going to do the same thing with my next one. We're going to place it right down there. Now anything that's overhanging, I'm going to use my scissors, and we're just going to trim that away. And then I'm going to take this panel, and I'm going to place it directly on the front of my A2 size card base. Once we have this adhered, we're going to bring in our watercolor piece. And I did add foam tape behind here. So I'm just going to remove the release paper off of my foam tape. I put it right around the outside frame. And then we'll just place this right in the middle. Now for finishing touches, I'm going to bring in my Pinkfresh Studio Glacier jewels. I'm going to add glue to all of these evenly spaced dots. We'll just funnel these back in there. Now I'm going to do one last thing. I'm going to bring in my white gel pen, and in the flower centers, I'm going to add some little white dots just to kind of bring everything together. You see how just a few little dots make a big difference. But that finishes my card today. I hope you enjoyed my project. Thanks so much for joining me. Have a fabulous day. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.